You ready? I'd like to call the November 4th, 2024 Advisory Committee meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Ms. Bowden.
Here.
Ms. Bourgeois.
Here.
Ms. Fertitta.
Here.
All present.
Item number 2, new business. A, to consider a request to revise policy LDAJ, Relations with Law Enforcement Authorities, as presented by Ms. Jamie Marlborough. Ms. Marlborough?
Right.
Yes.
Okay, so I brought this policy off of an experience that I had during last school year. And I've been trying to get it resolved, looking for answers, and I unfortunately have been told by the school district that I have to go to Sheriff Weber. Sheriff Weber is refusing to give me that information as well when I'm looking for a definition out of the memorandum of understanding. So I strongly feel that my agreement, so to speak, is with y'all. I send my kids to school. I don't send them to Sheriff Department school. I send them to Lafourche Parish School District. And I feel that if you guys enter into a contract and there's things in their parents don't understand, that it should be defined so we can understand it, or allow us access to the superintendent to explain that. And my answer was, you need to go to the sheriff. If the sheriff agrees to meet with you, then I will talk to you. And that's the answer I got from the school district. And I tried to do this in a constructive manner behind closed doors. And I know because you were part of those emails, and I don't want to put people down. I don't want to say anything. I just want effective change, because that could have saved me a lot of time, a lot of heartache, and a lot of phone calls here, is to put something in place like this that would allow for just transparency and a definition. You guys define everything else for us as parents in the handbook and in your policies. Can we define this? Because if we look at, and I'll use an example out of the 23 memorandum because it came from the school year last year, which was 23-24. And my point to that is that when something happened and I wanted to understand why the term restorative justice was used, we can go into DEI definition of restorative justice, we can go into a psychologically healthy definition, and we can go into a political definition. And without those being defined in today's world, we don't know what you're doing. You know, we've listened to saying, okay, we don't really do the whole DEI thing. We do state law, we do policy, we do those things. But when I can't get a definition on what restorative justice is, in my mind, I lean to the right, so I'm going to read a definition that might say off of that where it's potentially victim blaming, victim shaming, no accountability, and it's tied to DEI. And if that's the case, I was under the impression that that's not what we did in the school. But if it's to the other side and does what, it just leaves too much there for me not to say, okay, what does that mean? And I really did want to know what it meant. And I didn't get that answer. And I still haven't got that answer. Because again, my answer was from this district was go to the sheriff. I climbed that chain of command at the sheriff's office, still haven't really got that answer. And so now I'm left as a parent that has children in your school district not understanding something, and I'm asking for it to be defined. And I think transparency would be great. And I even, before I came here, I could have removed it, in the last 3 weeks, was still told, and that question was ignored when I asked it again. And I followed the chain of command. I followed y'all policies to get those answers, and I didn't. So that's why I'm bringing it here. And I don't want to be pointed out, made fun of, or comments be made by board members on certain committees about, well, if members of the public bring something, I'm not going to support it. Maybe listen to what I'm saying. This isn't to put you guys down, and that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to find a way where it's transparent and I can trust you. And I think everybody can agree, because there's a lot of things that if they're not defined and not explained in today's world, it could be taken in multiple different ways. And I guess what bothers me the most is I followed your rules and I followed your policies, and I still have no answers. And I think that it could have been done better, but if not, then let's put it up there and be transparent about it and define what it is. So then that way I don't have to pick up the phone and call you. It'll be in the handbook. And that's pretty much it. I don't know if you guys have any questions on it or whatnot. I tried to be just very to the point of it. I just think that we as parents should know. And the only reason on number 2, defined, some of it was put in there that document used to be, and I don't know if it still is because I haven't been paying attention in the last probably about 8 months, that the memorandum, my understanding, was done in January and in the fall. So it happens twice a year, so it's kind of like, that's where like school status or something like that comes in the event that you have to change it. And then it makes the parents aware, and then they can go and read it online or wherever you guys have it.
But for the superintendent. Superintendent Martin, have we ever had anybody else that has asked for an explanation of a move? I know we have many of them with different agencies throughout the parish and the state. I'm just wondering, have we had anyone that has asked for definitions of certain things?
That's one.
Okay. Okay.
I would think that you would want us to be educated to that definition, and if we were to call you, that you could provide that definition. And the issue isn't that, oh, we don't know, we need to discuss it more, we need to figure it out. It's the simple fact that I was told that if Sheriff Weber agrees to meet with you, I will meet with you, and that was the superintendent's words. And I, again, have not been told what that definition is. I can look at it, and the explanation I kind of got from a supervisor within the sheriff's side for the school resource officers was that, of course, we don't want kids to be in detention all day. And my response was, but if school board policy says that's where they're supposed to be, that's what should be followed. And my gut first reaction was it was more to the DEI side. But I can't make that call, or I can't judge for myself if that's what it meant. Because he even said that in the context of the MOU, he does not know how it was supposed to be used. And then that leads into more confusion, because let's per se, if it's not defined, and this is the memorandum of understanding is the guide for those employees from the sheriff's department that come and work for y'all, and they don't know what it is, and they Google it, and per se, it's not something that follows in line with school board policy, but that's the Google definition because it hasn't been defined. Then it allows that to maybe potentially allow things to happen that shouldn't happen, that's outside of state law or school board policy because of the lack of definition and defining something. And so that's kind of where it could lead to. It could lead to confusing employees if there's no definition of what it is. So that's kind of why I was asking for that. And it was why I came, because I can't get an answer from the sheriff or the superintendent out of the memorandum of understanding. And I'm treading lightly. I'm not telling you the whole story. I'm keeping it to myself. But at the end of the day, I went to the two heads, and that would be the superintendent, and that would be the sheriff. And I'm being stonewalled, and I'm not getting an answer. In like sitting down and saying, this is what we've meant. And nobody wants to tell me. And I don't understand how our school district can say, well, go to the sheriff's department for that answer. When, no, I left my kids in care of Lafourche Parish School District. I didn't leave my kids in the care of the sheriff's department. And I feel that you guys should know what you're entering into and be able to better explain it if a situation like what happened with my child arises. And so I wanted to understand. And when we don't want to talk about the situation that arose with my child and I get put back to the sheriff's department, that's not a good answer when I left my kid in y'all's care. And, you know, you expect me to act a certain way, behave a certain way, and follow your rules and policies. And if you ask me something, you would expect an answer. And that's all I'm asking in return. And that's why I brought this policy, is because I wasn't getting those answers. So I was trying to be like, okay, let's be more transparent. Let's be more forward and have those answers. And that's pretty much why. Do you have any questions?
We would need a motion to discuss it. You want to move with a motion?
The policy, I'm confused. I thought the policy for this body was to make a determination. To make a determination, you have to make a motion, and then therefore move forward, right? Or am I wrong? If I'm wrong, explain it to me.
You need to make a motion to put it forth to be able to discuss it.
Yeah, to make the determination.
Anybody making a motion to forward it on to the full board on the agenda? There is no motion. The request is denied.
So the motion was to make it to the full board, not one of the options there. So you only choose one of the options without opening it to discussion.
The
Like-
motion is,
The policy states that you have
I'm
to.
sorry, you're not
I
part
don't
of the
know, I'm
presentation.
trying to clarify something, you have to make a motion
You're out
to.
of order.
So you have to make a motion to open it up, to discuss it, to make the motion to see if it's going to be one of the four.
Make a motion to.
It
You
is
have to
a-
make a motion to forward it to the board, and then we would discuss it and then vote on it. There was no motion to forward it, so the request is denied.
The whole point of the advisory committee, I thought in writing, was that this committee is to make a determination when something is brought forward. And to make the determination on those, is it 4 or 5 options that are there, which is one is, was it better disseminated to the board in email or,
Ms.
you know?
Vogel, according to Roberts, a member has to make a motion to do something with the item for discussion to take place. If no member makes a motion to move the item forward, then the item cannot be discussed and the item dies.
Then should the wording of the policy be changed?
No, ma'am,
Therefore,
it shouldn't.
With there being no further business, this meeting is adjourned.